All right. Let's write this right question, model question. Describe 3 poems from your syllabus that go against the prevailing social injustices. So the 3 poems for this we can select. One is Chimney Sweeper by William Blake. Chimney Sweeper by William Blake. Other one, The Cathedral Builders by John Ormond. Another one, Animal Crackers by Richard de Souza. Start the answer like this. In our syllabus, we have different poets raising, R-A-I-S-I-N-G, raising their angry and critical voices against the prevailing social injustices and William Blake in his poem Chimney Sweepers, John Ormond Cathedral Builders and the Sri Lankan poet Richard de Souza in his poem Animal Crackers show the social injustices in different angles. Yes. New para. William Blake the early romantic poet writes his poems highlighting the pathetic consequences of the factory system that drove the general public to be lifetime slaves inside the industrial factories that belong to the aristocratic existence of the contemporary London town. Yes. Militarism, unfair taxation, prostitution, and child labor were the known tragedies of the time, and in writing the poem Chimney Sweeper, Blake brings out the subject matter of child labor that little boys from the poor families had to clean the suit, SOOT, suit of the tall chimneys of the factories. Yes. The absence of family planning processes every family was burdened with many children and poor parents could not feed many mouths with the meager wages that poor meager wages that poor fathers brought home by working as the laborers of the factories, shedding their sweat with the machinery from dawn to dusk, from dawn to dusk, from dawn to dusk. Yes, right. This pathetic plight paved the way for the little boys to join factories as chimney sweepers. Right. Since every family was stricken with the severe economical crisis, the poor parents sold their boys to factories violating the rights of the children. Yes. Full stop. The protagonist of the poem Chimney Sweeper is one such boy who was sold to a factory by insensitive parents. Right. The unaffordable cost of living made parents to be unemotional. Yes. The unaffordable cost of living made poor parents unemotional to sell their little boys to the factories. Full stop. Blake in the poem Chimney Sweeper describes yes. ෆයිනල් සෙමිනර් එකක් කියලා මම කරා ගිය අවුරුද්දේ ඒකේ ළමයි දැන් කතා කරලා පාස් වුණා කියලා. අර දවස් 7-8ක සෙමිනර් එකක් කරා මම එක දිගටම විරි දවල් අරගෙන හරි. මොකද්ද මම කොහොමද පටන් ගත්තේ? In the poem
Blake in the poem Chimney Sweeper describes
making the poem කියලා කිව්වේ කොහොමද?
Blake in the poem Chimney Sweeper
Blake in the poem Chimney Sweeper describes that tragedy of child labor through this protagonist who produces the story of his lugubrious and dark childhood. Yes. After that, write first 2 lines within quotation. When my mother died, I was very young. First line. When my mother died, I was very young. And my father sold me while yet my tongue next line could scarcely SCRCL scarcely cry, weep 4 times, weep. Yes. The narrator tells that his father sold him to sweep the chimneys before he could properly pronounce the words which means he is still a little kid. Yes. Full stop. Since the factory chimneys were so narrow, adult laborers could not climb up the tall chimneys, so that those little boys had to clean them. Full stop. All day, factory machinery were functioning, and the cleaning process was done after midnight. Yes. The other tragedy is that those boys were kept in dark rooms called coffins, and they were naked, At least they were not given food and clothes. Yes, at least those little boys were not given food and clothes. Yes, in the stanza 2, the narrator describes what happened to the little boy Tom Dacre, D-A-C-R-E, Tom Dacre, who cried when his head curled like lamb's back, and was shaved, shaved. Inside chimneys, on most occasions, the little boys had clogged, C-L-O-G-G-D, clogged themselves and died, and their dead bodies fell on the floor after many days as skeletons. Yes. According to the narrator, he soothed S-O-O-T-H, soothed the boy, telling that suit cannot spoil his white hair After shaving. After shaving. Yes. Those innocent boys were given only a ray of freedom just for a moment, to have a bath then, to have a bath then, play in the open valley, Yes. Early in the morning, those boys rise upon, rise upon the chimneys, hanging their bags, naked and white, Yes. Early morning, with their brushes, they do the same task, day by day, Full stop. Of course, this is a social tragedy, for which no one was punished legally. Yes. During the factory system, the law of the country appeared only for the um, aristocratic social class, but the poor working class was not harbored by The law of the country. Law of the country. Yes. New para. John Ormond in writing his poem Cathedral Builders deals with another social injustice which is related to the Christian church. Christian church. Yes. 19th century Christian church made the people blind with the concept of living with God after death. Mm. The poet is critical towards the unfair exploitation of labor, deceiving deceiving the poor people through the false idea of seeing God, seeing God after death, seeing God after death. Yes. The narrator describes how the poor and weak laborers exposed themselves to death while climbing, CLIMBING, climbing on sketchy, 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 sketchy ladders towards God, G capital, towards God. Yes. Christian church made the poor people blind with the over devotion to the religion and the aspiration to go to heaven after death, so that the poor laborers did not fear to take over that danger at hand. Yes. Their work on scaffolds, SCAFFOLD, scaffolds, was not easy, and with winch, winch, and pulley, pulley, they hoisted, hoisted, hewn, hewn, rock into heaven. Yes. They also violated the law of gravity, and climbed up too high. Yes. Though they did heavy and risky work, those poor laborers were not given sufficient food. Yes. Full stop. The poverty stricken condition of their families is described when telling that every night they slept with their smelly views, curled and cuffed the children. CUFFed, cuffed the children. Yes. Full stop. At home, they could not entertain themselves. They could not entertain themselves with wives and children. Since they were God's men, they did not like to give a helping hand to fix the roof of a neighbor's house. Yes. However, with the process of time, obeying the law of nature, these laborers also gain, gain, their evening of life, and become so weak to work any longer. Yes. Yes. When they are palsied, PALSIED. Palsied means weak. PLSIED. Palsied. They go to The cathedral that they built with their own hands and fat bishop rejects them entering the God's house. Yes. The contemporary Christian church gave priority to the rich people, and they envied envied the poor people entering there. Yes. Thus, John Ormond, in his poem Cathedral Builders, raises his angry voice.
සර් දස් කියන තැන ඉඳන් පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්නකෝ.
Thus, John Ormond raises his angry voice against the way that the Christian churches treated the extremely poor men who built the cathedral, shedding sweat, facing an imminent death. New para. හෙට ඉස්කෝලේ යනවා දෙන්නම. මම දිගටම කරන්න ඕන හරියන්නේ නැහැ මේක.
හෙට යනවා සර් හෙට විභාග ඇප්ලිකේෂන් දාන්න එන්න කිව්වා.
අපිටත් සර්.
හරි. හෙට දාස්මින්දා නේද?
ඔව් සර්.
හෙට 6ටත් පුළුවන්ද?
පුළුවන් සර්.
නිස්සා.
මට හෙට බෑ සර් හවස ක්ලාස් තියෙනවා.
එහෙනම් හෙට මම මෙයාට නවල් එක පටන් ගන්නම්. හරි. 6ට දෙන්න නවල් එක වෙන කරන්න වෙන්නේ මෙයා ලයික් ෆෝ පී කරනවා මේ අනිත් එක න ජුලයි පී කරන්නේ. හරි. Richard the Soisa, the modern Sri Lankan poet, handles his poetic pen to create a political satire upon the ruling authority of the country for working to kindle kindle the flames of the racial fire in the 80th decade in Sri Lanka, which noted the black mark in the history of the country as Black July that reported massacre within the country
සර් මට සිකුරාදා හවස පුළුවන්.
සිකුරාදා පුළුවන් නේ හරි massacre within the country දැන් මේක කොහොමද කොටවා කරන්න ඕන කරලා ලියවලා massacre within the country with Sinhala hooligans murdering innocent Tamil civilians on 23rd of July and afterwards. Yes. The poet criticizes the contemporary ruling authority led by United National Party of which the emblem was elephant. Yes. The poet mentions several animals tiger, cat, jackal, an elephant, an elephant. Yes. The reason for the public violence of the general public taking the law against the Tamils was LTTE movement, land mining, an army jeep in Jaffna with seven soldiers. Yes, that was done by LTTE, known as tigers, but who became guinea pigs, GENEA -PIGS, GENEA guinea pigs were the most innocent Tamil civilians in Colombo who were traders, pavement sellers, cobblers, scavengers, etc. Scavengers, SCAVENGER, scavengers, etc. Soisa writes the poem 2 days, writes the poem on 25th of July 1983, 2 days after the violence when it was still curfew. Yes. So it's a using the term my lord, inverted comma my lord, lays blames on J.R. Jayawardena for motivating the people to mm, murder innocent Tamil people. Yes. The event recorded so many inhuman activities like raping, looting, assaulting and killing. Nugara. In this manner, these three different poets used their poetic words to attack the prevailing injustices of the country. All right, okay.